but there's also like the market application aspect, right? So, for example, so what I'm thinking here is that you can, well, it's sort of, it's not two different versions, but so that you have, you can group some of the end users, if you like, right, into market application groups, by which you set a number of parameters. Like for example, and this becomes a little bit like you have some lectures about this. Is when we talk about a technical market like this, you could talk about like the DRAM market, right? So the DRAM market, or like the DRAM like memory, right? So as compared to flash or whatever, right? So and that groups a certain amount of customers with which so you could say, okay, on the market side we have X number of customers, but all these customers really fall into the they're interested in the 5 to 10 meter range. They're interested in autonomous control. They're interested in 5-second response time. So you can parameterize, but you can't do this without the customers. You see, right? But you can parameterize, so you can end up with different market applications.
So to that end, do you get a feeling that, like, for example, with the correction facilities or these different markets, do they have similar criteria, or they have all different criteria? The range that they want to work in, the cost of the system, you know what I mean? Like, so Andres is saying you develop a parameter space where you kind of look at the criterion of the different sub-markets, and then you can, because if there's common features, then you can focus your development on the common features, even though you don't know exactly which the end customer is yet, right? Because we're talking about the innovation process as you move forward, you might not know who your first sale is going to be, but if you can understand the common characteristics. So is there a common characteristic you don't have a feeling yet? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. But the question is also, are there significant differences also? Like, are there, like when you look at these end customers, okay, are there some where you say like, okay, here we're talking about in this parameter space, a specification of range, speed, whatever, trapping mechanism or whatever, that really is quite different, and you kind of know already, like from technology, from cost, is quite different than, another space. Reliability, like how reliable, is it 95% okay, or is it 99.99%?
In our business we have to structurize our clients, our end users a lot, and we have a lot of cases about it, and I guess we can talk with each other about this structure and about how to group them in market application and so on, about parameterizing all day and all night.
Yeah.
I think the answer would be very pretty short. Если вы говорите, что у них параметр, вы можете в одном предложении, мне кажется, это ответить.
No. I mean, the short answer is yes. We summarize them by parameters and so on.
But can you? Are those similar parameters, or is it like very diverse?
There are groups of end users with similar parameters.
Okay.
That's it.
Окей, хорошо, тогда все. Ты хочешь, мы сейчас это по-русски?
No, let's speak English.
Окей.
Just we understand that it is different parameters for different cases. The jail case and Merkel case about have the product of these cases have different parameters, but we want to move step by step. And the first case about what we discussed today is Merkel case, because Merkel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Merkel case. Because these parameters are more easy than.
It's easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
But here's an important thing, about the innovation process. Okay, is even if you think it is easier at the moment, right? And so you have something that's, you know, already like closer to that. That's important, okay? But it's not that, you know, now you should focus on that, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, you need to, and we'll you know, with the software, we'll give you a tool for this. You know, you need to sort of evaluate how you know, how risky or not risky this is, right? So if you have, you know, your market. So if you, let's say, group in market, so let's say this is all market, right?
Yeah.
So if you group, you know, so the first thing, you know, you've done, you know, which is great, you like basically look at all the customers sort of, you know, directly, right? So you list them, okay? Then the thing is, okay, well, which ones, you know, basically we think, we don't know, okay, right? Which one we think could be using the same type of system, okay, with maybe some customized variation of that, right? So, and then, you know, you sort of, you know, you have those guys in here, okay? And it doesn't mean that they can't move, right, as you find out more, right? But, so, and you say like, okay, well, this one, right? This one we know pretty well, okay? Because we have, you know, some of the technology over here that, you know, so we know this pretty well, okay? Whereas, so the risk is, you know, like actually goes down in technology range, right? It's really over here, right? Whereas here, it's really a matter of understanding the customer and these application needs, right? And that's the risk measure you apply here, okay? So what's often the case that people do is when they don't use this process sort of diligently, right? Is that they say, oh, you know, because I have more knowledge about this seems riskier, and therefore, yeah, I find out the things that I think I need, you know, over here, right? But it is not said that, you know, a combination of this technology and this market with a different implementation may not be 10 times as large or 10 times as profitable or something. You don't know, but you don't know yet. You see what I mean, right? So it's not a matter of, so you have to keep the system sort of in balance. The real danger is, you know, to go after something that you have previous knowledge about and you think it's so this criterion is very important, but then it goes into the risk measure. I'm saying like the closer you are, you know, like yeah, it can be your first protocol, but maybe when you're thinking about which technology to use at the beginning, right? Maybe it is the case that you focus only on this first, you make a technology choice that you can't scale, whereas, you know, you look at the whole picture, you make a technology says that, yeah, it's still going to be the first market, okay, but we're going to use a printed circuit board layout, okay, right, that we know we need another system, and we need, you know, a better, higher accuracy or whatever, and we already can incorporate, we're anticipating that we can do that. You see what I mean?
An extreme example what he's talking about is that you might find one of the customers that actually is easy to address, that you can create something quickly, but it's actually not even the particular, I get the feeling you have a particular sensor or something like that. It could be that with things off the shelf, you find another market that you could address pretty quickly because, you know, you guys have all the knowledge to go do that. That's an example. Like, you put the technology one up, you know, that I don't have a feeling for where, so in which category, it seems like you guys have a specific technology that you know well that's in one of these categories.
Yes, it is.
So which category is that in?
You can find control, material science, GIS interfaces, and GEMS. This technology will know for us.
Okay, so there's a lot of other possibilities that you don't know about yet, so you're going to investigate that as we go forward, right? Yeah. Because, you know, obviously there's a lot of commercial activity in like LiDAR and things like that. I don't know the technology, I don't know what the customers need, right? But just to give you an example, you know, just because there's, like in the US, just because there's a huge interest in this unmanned vehicle business. Yeah.
It's just depends on legal restriction of implementation universe because there is some laws that prohibit to use radar.
For example, radars is prohibited in Russia to use by
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
So you
by
can't. So
civilian
those
market.
things you can't use any of those things.
Yes.
Is it entirely prohibited, or is like short range? Because like even cars, okay, for distance sensing, you know,
Yes.
there are some that have radar
So
applications,
that's
right?
only one way to use radar.
Right.
In the cars, and you should put it in.
Facing downwards, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, because power and distance is
Yeah, square, yeah. So, but the thing is, like, you know, so is there a general restriction here on radar? Like, you couldn't even use it like in the cars, or is there like only
In the
some?
car, it's the only way to use it.
Okay,
It's the only way.
it's the only way. Okay,
In
and it's not about. It's not also not about you know, which kind of you know. Like, so is there with all of these things? There's always a question of frequency range, right?
This brings up the other thing, which is that every company, every innovation that eventually has impact today,
I was going there.
is really a global thing to begin with, right? So what I'm hearing already is that your choices in the innovation space and all the universes get bigger if you were to sell in other countries, right? So have you thought about global markets? Are you always thinking about Russian markets, or have you?
We are sure that if we will satisfy Russian market, we will satisfy global market.
Well,
In
but
this
we
ca-
just
in
heard,
this
for example,
perspective.
that locally you just have a huge part of technology space that you can't use, right? So how can that be the case, right?
But if Russian laws, they are very restrictive, yes. And if we, in such kind of constraints, will create a product, this product will be quite universal for other countries. This knowledge based on our experience in other products which we are selling around, which we are selling globally, and it's not only one reason, of course, because we have some other reasons why we are starting from Russian market, because we have short transaction ways to our to get the knowledge with our customers about all some other features of our product, and legal restrictions in radar or in other cases it's only one part, small part of universal product.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's okay. Thank you for your question, but we have,
Yeah.
we are sure that it's
okay.
Okay. Because, you know, like one thing to sort of think about it, you know, it's not just purely because it crosses spaces. Like, for example, if, you know, maybe the radar isn't, you know, the radar aspect isn't an option, you know, here, but, you know, maybe, because, see, the one thing that you cannot assume, generally speaking, is that the legal environment doesn't change. Okay? Like, for example, the, you know, in order to make autonomous vehicles a reality, right? The legal environment in every country has to change, right? The
Yeah.
traffic laws have to change. The, you know, the way insurance companies work has to change, and so on, right? So all this, you know, you just because, you know, in implementation, you can't just say, you know, again, it's a question of like sort of first product versus, and it might be, for example, that, you know, you have a version, let's say, for the Russian market that, you know, has these restrictions and you use X, Y, Z components in it, okay, but you have a similar base architecture, but you use another component in it, okay, and that happens to be cheaper, okay, and you can use that in Southeast Asia where you don't have these restrictions, right? So, you know, there is a certain modularity to this, but you want to reflect this in your universe, even if it's not immediately, you know, the thing that you're after. So, because one of the important things in the MIT universe way is that you keep all these things present. It doesn't mean that you have to resolve them right now. You have to have a very good decision of why you leave something and why you pursue something at a given time.
Yeah, so for example, you could say, like you're saying, you have a plan that the restrictions make you develop something you think is going to be good internationally, but it doesn't mean you wouldn't consider these other things, because imagine that you eventually go international, right? And then instead of going international with no information, you actually go with all the information. So then when, you know, another country says, oh, you can't have this, but you can have that. You guys, in your head, you already know, and you say, I put this with that, and now that's their version of the product, right? So what I'm just saying, kind of knowing all that stuff up front, even if you choose to work in a particular more restricted environment, you still have the other knowledge so that you can take another innovation path in another product in another country,
I
right?
definitely got that.
I would like to say that if you're talking about this product, we are participating in collaboration process with our government, Russian government, the federal government, about legalization of drones in Russia in legislation process.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Anton, I would like to expand the idea that Anton said that radar usage in Russia is illegal if you're talking about civilians. It's mean that we cannot be developers of radar systems if we are not military. We cannot invest in Russia in radar technologies at all if we are not military.
But okay, but that's
we should invest abroad.
no, sure. but that's fine. But so some of these things, and these are all reasons, okay, for saying, oh, we're not pursuing this at this moment, okay. But it still should be there because, for example, there is no reason why at the right time you could not just simply buy some components, if they're available. You don't necessarily even have to invest developing them. If you have the system, okay, right? I mean, Boeing doesn't develop all its parts either for the airplane, right? So, you have to have a constant track, okay, and that's why in the technology universe, right? It's not just your own technologies that have to be in there, right? It's going to be all the competing technologies and keeping track. To what level these are compatible or can become compatible. Maybe they're still in research, but in 2 years they may or may not fit into your system, right? LiDAR is one of those examples. There's a lot of very strong development, on that, right?
Yeah, the price of those things is dropping fast because Google's driving it and stuff like that. And you can see then people starting to, like in my world, I work more at the integrated circuit level. So you can see people starting to say, how do we drop the cost of these things? How do we make cheaper ones? So you can see the market is going to be driven eventually down on there, and people, we talk about that in the class. Sometimes these other fields will drive pieces down and then change your innovation path because all of a sudden there's some key technology that is driven by another market, right? And so you might see that happen, but that's all fine. When you guys eventually become an international company, then you can do these things overseas, like you said, right? You could assemble something for Southeast Asia in Singapore or something, right? And then it has nothing to do with, but then your revenue comes back here, depending on tax law, right? So, okay, so let's go back to, you had, so the important thing here is, from an educational point of view, is to fill out the space by what Andreas was just saying is the things that you don't know is where you should spend most of your time, right? And you guys have done that very nicely here because I like the way you identify what you know, what you don't know next. That's one of the things we try to get you to learn, right? And so it seems like going forward, you've identified all the areas that you need to investigate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay. So do you have any, instead of us just kind of giving our, do you guys have questions for us? About this process, about particular areas,
We will see your work today, and we would like to say good luck with teams today, and I guess we will have questions later. Because you have a long way today, and you have to hear teams.
Well, that's okay, yeah.
But it's fun.
Show appendix. If we have some more time, let's have fun.
We have few experience with UAV movement analysis. And what?
That's your first problem.
There is no
It's
internet?
okay. It's okay.
Наверное, звука не будет.
Just share my
We developed a small product just for fun 2 years ago, and Peter have a small demonstration demo.
Very good. Yeah, so you guys were saying that at the beginning you were saying you have a product already, or you can use something.
No, we have a product, but
Peter, just one. Our main product, where we have a lot of money, it's a special security system for body guards and other clients around the world. And
What is it?
the system is based on the seismic sensors, which are alarming. Then you go near them, and
Yes.
they send alarms wirelessly to the.
So you have that knowledge now, so you.
It's not a knowledge, it's a working product.
That's
We're
what I mean.
making money,
Yeah.
yes.
So you actually sell that
Yes.
around the world.
A lot
And
of-
who's you? Is that like you guys here, or?
We are developed a group of developers from this company.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not all you guys are in that company.
No. In this case, it's all.
All of
Yes,
them.
it's all you guys are in there.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
All right, so you're already in one company, you have this
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
Yes. And now you're thinking about extending to new areas. Okay.
It's in Russian, but
yeah, it's from internet because